And I thought that finding my voice was to do this one thing, like have this one style, go all in, and that's how you create your career. But I was never able to like really do that because anytime like a new opportunity came to do like a different kind of project, I would jump on it. So I was like always postponing finding my voice. Then I had like this really nice conversation with an artist, Gary Baseman. Like your point of view is not a style or a discipline or a technique. I think if you're doing your work like from your own point of view, bring your own experiences, your own sense of humor, it was gonna feel like you. And that kind of gave me like a different perspective, like just to bring it to where I am now.
This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. Thank you, Ricardo, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, we're going to start today with a little game. Since you're here in Philly, I think that this is perfect. We have a list of what we like to call rapid fire Philly questions. So
All right.
most of these are like one-word answers. You're welcome to explain them if you'd like, but in as short of amount of time as you can. And yeah, it's just your opinions on your favorite things in Philly, and such, etc. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. Okay, first question. The first word that you think of when you hear Philadelphia. You're thinking too hard. Just first word.
Yeah, chaotic.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, what celebrity do you think of when you think of Philadelphia?
Um, uh, Betsy Ross.
Huh.
Is that a celebrity?
I mean, I guess it counts as a historical figure. That's in its own right, but that's a new one, so that's why I was surprised. Okay, cool. Okay. Favorite cheesesteak spot?
I don't have one. I'm not really into cheesesteaks.
That's blasphemous.
I know. Maybe I can get some recommendations after this, but yeah.
I got you prepared. I have a long list of restaurants that me and my boss have created for Philadelphia to send
Yes. So I think
people
like
that are new to the city.
yeah, as a disclaimer, like I moved to Philly right like during COVID, and I already had like small kid, and then here we have a second child. So like my whole life is more like this like new parenthood kind of life. So like the like food exploration has been like very low in my priority list. So that's why
That's fair. I mean,
I really don't have a favorite spot.
you should be feeding cheesesteaks to your children. That's important. They need to be trained from an early age. Well, you had you're from New York, right? You had them. Don't they have like a chopped cheese? Is that what it's called? Like their version of a cheese? Interesting. I know it's like pretty popular, but I could just be completely.
No, what I like about New York was more the like international food.
I agree.
Especially being far from Ecuador and Latin America, being having access to like all that cuisine for me was like feel a little bit like not like super home, but like a little.
Close enough to home.
Yeah.
A bit. Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, Philly is great for that too. I hope you've been able to maybe minorly explore
Yeah.
the amount of cuisines that we have to offer. That's why I love the city solely because it's like it's a it's a closer knit New York almost. That's what it feels like to me at least.
Yeah.
You're from New York, so you might be a little biased.
Yeah. Well, I only lived there for 10 years, so I don't know. I'm not
It's a
the
long time. 10 years.
yeah,
Saying it like it's nothing.
but I moved on.
You moved on to bigger and better, smaller and better things.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is smaller. Okay. Because you haven't had a lot of time to explore, this might not be a thing that you have, but this might be a thing. One small business that you frequent the most. It can be a restaurant. It can be
Yeah, we live in Port Richmond.
Mhm.
So I do like I love this Mexican restaurant Nemi. We go there quite a bit. And then there's also this little coffee shop called Little Susie that we also go quite a bit.
I love Little Susie's. That is one of my favorite places. Is this okay? Wait, okay. Let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. Is the place with the hand pies?
Yes.
My favorite place on the earth. I take everyone there.
So they don't have like an indoor place, like you just order from the
Yeah.
window, have to wait even if it's super cold or whatever, but you still do it because it's great.
Yep. Because the hand pies are so warm. That is my favorite place on the earth. I'm so happy that you brought that up. There's multiple locations, but that is still a small business. They just have
Yeah.
spread out a little.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love it.
It's really awesome. Well, we're hitting it off. Okay. Favorite place for a drink or a meal?
So I found this place also in Port Richmond called the Corner Bar. That if you're looking for fancy, this is not it. It's more like sort of neighborhood, very grounded. Dare I say, even a little greedy. Like just straight up like beer shots. That's it. I like that for that vibe, but also in East Kensington, I like Post Haste.
Hmm.
Uh,
I think I've heard of
in
that.
that, like if you go more into like this more cocktail kind of place, I think that's a that's a great spot.
Yeah, I'm a big dive bar person, so the fancy cocktail bars are usually not for me either. So I understand the corner bar vibes. If you're ever in Fairmount, my favorite bar on the absolute earth is the Green Room. Um, it's on a corner on Green Street. I can't remember the address, but if you're ever in the area, that is the best shot and beer bar that you could ever go to. They're like the nicest people ever, and it is so cheap. And if you're staying there all night and you just sit at the bar and talk to the bartenders, they'll just drink with you. They're like, that's my favorite kind of bar. Is the bartenders are
Yeah, it's super cool. So like at the Corner Bar last time I went, there were these two ladies that they were actually the bartenders of the other shift. So they kept just like hanging out there because it's like just so homey.
Yeah, right? Those are my favorite kind of places where you kind of feel at home. I think it's weird to feel at home in a bar, but it's also, maybe people might be judgmental of that, but it's just like it's a community, like when you regularly go to a place and they remember you, it's just really nice. And they take care of you because you're, like, hopefully nice to them. So it's just it's a really great position to be in. That's why I really like Philly too, because I I don't know how it is in New York. I'm sure there are many small businesses where you can be a regular and they remember you, but I since it's so much busier, I think of like maybe I am completely off base, but I Philadelphia has that ability of like they'll remember you if you're a regular because there's not enough people that come into certain places to forget.
Yeah, the feeling is different. I like it.
I'm happy you like it. Yay. Okay, okay, okay. Last thing. Maybe this could be a wholesome thing. Maybe this could be negative. I don't know. But if you were to change something about Philadelphia, what would it be?
Um, I would say the drive-in. Um, yeah, I do not enjoy the drivers here. I always have to be very defensive. But like, luckily I grew up in Ecuador and I learned how to drive there. And you always have to be like extra defensive. People
Oh, that's good.
they're kind of crazy. So here I see that happening. But yeah, people like just passing the red light or just like going from like the right lane all like 3 4 lanes to the left like without even a signal. It's kind of common. So,
Classic Philadelphia. Yeah. No,
so I would
spot
like,
on.
yeah.
I would I found out while I was living here because I had the same problem. I'm from New Jersey and people say a lot of bad stuff about people from New Jersey that drive. But Philadelphia single-handedly has made I thought I was a good driver before. Um Philadelphia has single-handedly made me a better driver because of how poor the drivers are in Philadelphia. I think that
Yes.
you have to be better in order to not get in an accident every time you have to drive. I found out that the training to get your license in Pennsylvania in general is so easy, and that's why the drivers here works, because there's no in New Jersey, you have to have 6 hours of training with, like, an instructor, you have to pass your driver's test, and it's definitely more extensive than the Philadelphia one. I've heard some people don't even have to do parallel parking, and I'm like, "You have to know how to parallel park the
The
reason."
city, of course.
So people aren't even they don't even have to pass a parallel parking segment in order to get their license, which I'm like, "Wow, that makes sense because 'cause I've watched people hit my car trying to parallel park." So that is the road.
Yeah, that makes sense. They just handing out driver's licenses here.
They're just handing out driver's licenses. That is why. So, I resonate with that idea entirely. Um, well, we're off to the we're gonna get into the professional stuff. We've done the Philadelphia stuff. I appreciate you. You've already, I feel like, incorporated yourself into the city well. So you seem like
Yeah. So my child, uh, she was born here, so I do have a Philadelphian kid. On
amazing.
so
It's
that
a privilege.
will remember that forever.
That's so lovely. Well, okay, so now that we're past the Philadelphia things, I wanna hear more about you. So could you, just talk about yourself for a little bit? Tell us how you got to this point, in, like, your professional career. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. I know maybe you can't reveal too much into depth, but, just, like, the kind of things that you're doing today and, what you like about it.
Yeah. So I think my whole working life, but even when you beyond work, has always been about exploration and always trying to like learn a new thing and learn a new skill, learn a new something. So I always mentioned that I started in in the creative world when I was maybe 3 years old. I started drawing. So it's been with me forever, like since before I can remember. Um, and the thing, and then I think maybe the other factor that contributed in how I think is that I come from Ecuador, and like I started my life there, and I didn't move to the States until I was 28, so I was like a fully adult, you know, um, and so that whole uh time happened in Ecuador, and in Ecuador, it's a great place. And one of the things that actually for me was an advantage was that there's no like super dedicated or specialized industries. So when you start your career as a designer or as a creative, you kind of have to be knowledgeable in a number of things, because you don't know what might happen, like in the future. So I think maybe if I had lived in the States during my teenage years, I would have been right now maybe a comic book artist, because that's like I was like super into that. I always love to create characters, create scenarios, create stories. I also in Ecuador I won the first national comics contest, so that's you know uh like something so it was great, but it also shows that like the industry was not like that developed. Like if I won it, you know, like
Good.
maybe here, like more competitive landscape, more resources, everything. Maybe I could have gone that way, but so I decided to when I chose to go to school. I didn't go for arts because I thought I could always explore that on my own. So I went for architecture and design, actually more architecture than design. But then, like while I was, um, during my first year, I kind of fell more in love with design, because I felt I had more freedom to execute what I wanted. I think like when you are creating like an architecture project, like there's so much involved, and I like that design can be like a huge endeavor with a big team, or it can also be like your own personal pursuit, and you can be like a team of one and still make things happen. So I like that flexibility. And again, because there's not like that many specialized industries or studios, I was doing like a little bit of everything. So I was doing branding, editorial, animation, illustration, packaging, whatever came my way, I would do. With some friends, I started a t-shirt company, so that was like kind of like more cool, but also at the same time, I was doing illustrations for a children's book, or infographics for a geologist. So it kind of went like all over the place. And the problem that I had was that my whole portfolio was kind of a mess. Like I didn't know how to put these things together because nothing looked like the next thing. So at that time, I was very concerned about trying to find my voice, and I thought that finding my voice was to do this one thing, like have this one style, go all in, and that's how you create your career. But I was never able to like really do that because anytime like a new opportunity came, to do like a different kind of project, I would jump on it because I was like so excited to learn this new thing. And even just my illustrations, I could have like the five different styles. So not even that like kind of look the same. So I was like always postponing like finding my voice thing. And then one of the things that happened to me that was really really great is that I got a scholarship to study traditional arts in Japan. So it was traditional
Hmm.
brush painting. I did that for a full year, and that was awesome because I got detached from like all my digital stuff that I was like super into, and just became just rice paper and black ink painting bamboo for 6 months. It was almost meditative, and that also taught me how to think about composition and beauty like in a different way. When I was coming back from Japan, this friend from college contacted me and said he was going to start an animation studio. So I was like, oh, that's awesome, like that sounds great. And he was like, and you can be the art director. I was like, oh, it has art and director in the title, I'll go for it. I didn't even know what that really meant, but it was a cool experience. I worked with them, with that friend and another one. So we're just a company of three people really at the beginning, and I worked with them for a little over a year, and the just the learning curve was so expedited because we were always saying yes to projects and we didn't know how to budget time, resources, talent,
It's
knowledge.
very new.
So we were always like in big trouble, not sleeping. But I think like when you are like early on in your career and you still don't have like massive responsibilities, and you still don't need a lot of sleep, yeah, maybe like go for those 5 Red Bulls a day and just like dedicate yourself to the craft. So I think that was so great, but still, like my own vision or my own voice was still not fun because now I had like added animation into this mix. And that's when I found advertising, and I was never like really into advertising, but I had this client, this creative director that thought I could be a good art director for advertising, and then I switched. But I had no idea of how to like more formally like I don't know understand the brief or talk about the strategy, brainstorm or working even with a copywriter. I'd never done that, so I had to like do all of that kind of on the go. I didn't have time to like rehearse. It was just go, and it went pretty well. And I guess maybe the one industry that is developed all around the world is advertising. So so then I thought, okay, so maybe advertising is my vehicle to go and explore other parts of the world. Because after Japan, I was like so into like different cultures, different points of view, like just different settings. So I really wanted to move to the States. Um, Also, going back to my childhood, I love the Ninja Turtles, I loved Spider-Man. I had to live in New York for those reasons. So it was like this. I know it sounds like a kind of unserious reason, but it really was. Like I had to do it. Uh, oh, so I moved to the States, and yeah, like I've gone through like a little bit of a journey also in the States because I started in multicultural Hispanic market, in Texas actually, and then I moved to New York to get my master's in design and technology from Parsons. But you get again, I think that was like another strange move because if I was already in advertising and like somewhat committed, like maybe the most logical thing would have been to just like stick to it and like really, like spend my career there, trying to go win some awards or something. But then I decided to go and do this, design and technology as that, like, uh and then I learned like how to code, how to do physical computing. I did more animation, UX, UI, and all of these things that are really not used in straight up advertising.
Mm.
So again, it was like another bucket list that I had, to study at Parsons. So I was very happy about that, but I was not sure how exactly like everything would piece together. But having that experience also helped me move into global markets, and then I started, playing like in the big leagues, in agencies like McCann or Publicis. But I always had like as a side project something that advertising by itself was not giving me, like to develop an app or like doing my illustrations and art, like all of that has always like always needed to be like a side thing. And I think up to that point I was either single or I had my girlfriend who's now my wife, but I could really dedicate a lot of like my free time into the pursuit of those things. And
Uy.
also like the thing that I would always sacrifice, and this is not maybe advisable, but I would always sacrifice sleep, love doing stuff. So I would rather sleep 4 hours and then, like function that way than like stop doing my art,
Mhm.
Advertising is also like super demanding. So again, I was like trying to find like, so my portfolio was still like this kind of like jumbled up thing that had like so many disciplines, and I was like, yeah, like I've already gone through like this whole journey, and I still haven't solved that question, right? Like finding your voice, finding your point of view. But then I had like this really nice conversation with an artist, Gary Baseman. It was more about illustration, but I think I brought it up to like a bigger like to my whole career. And like your point of view is not a style or a discipline or a technique. I think if you're doing your work like from your own point of view, bring your own experiences, your own sense of humor, it was gonna feel like you. So it doesn't really matter how, like, if it's a video, a website, an illustration, an infographic, it's always gonna feel like me if I'm really invested and I'm honest in the process. If I'm copying trends, that will never happen. So that's what I learned, and that kind of gave me like a different perspective. And then to and then like just to bring it to where I am now, I have this opportunity to work at Comcast, and I'm the executive creative director of Comcast Creative Group. It's part of Comcast corporate, and I had the challenge of putting together the team. We started with only two designers and one motion designer, and then we expanded to not a giant team. I think we're now with me 17 creatives. But I love to put together, writers, art directors, designers, motion designers, editors, and everybody coming with different perspectives. And and and, and for the first time in my career, all this exploration that I've done since the beginning kind of made sense, because now
Yeah.
I'm doing advertising and social, but also design and branding, and we keep up the corporate website, and we do large scale events. So, you know arts, technology, design, advertising all coming together, and I can speak those languages. I love that I work with people that are better at me at all those things, but I can be the bridge because I've done a little bit of all of that, and I think that put me in an interesting position where I can I can really be a part of it and not feel like a fish out of water.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. It's really comprehensive that you've had all this experience and felt like maybe I'm not narrowing my field enough, but then now you're in a position where you're working with so many different people that are in different mediums that work with different things artistically, but you know about all these things and you've had experience with them. So it's also easier to probably navigate your team, like be able to talk to them about what they're doing, get them advice, or be able to help out where it's needed, because you've had this extensive life experience in different art forms.
Yeah, so that's kind of it makes sense. So I wish I could tell you I did that by design, but I don't know. I feel very fortunate that like I could find a place where I can actually do all of this.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing, and I think that there's not I like that you know, received some advice or turned it into advice from the illustrator because I think that I don't think there's a problem. I think maybe the US has kind of a expectation that you should, like, stick to one field and stay in that field, and but I don't think that's the right way for everyone. I know so many people that have been in completely different jobs their whole life, like, have switched around to so many different things just because staying in one place is boring to them, or it's just not something that, or it's not boring, but it's, you know, they wanna consistently learn, and staying in one field and doing the same thing forever is not fulfilling for them. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with the path that you took, even though it's, like, against the grain, I guess, for, like, our culture specifically, I suppose. Because, like, the expectation is you stay in this one field for the rest of your life. You go to college for this, and then you go to grad school for this, and then you go and it's the same thing your whole life, and, you know, you're working towards something. But I think that you could work towards something by gaining experience in a bunch of different places, and even if that's even if you work towards something that you realize is not what you ended up wanting, I mean, like, if you spent 20 years doing that exact thing and realize that you hate it, you have nothing else to go by. So I think that if anything, getting different experiences is really valuable, and it's like it isn't perfectly lined up with what you're doing today. So I mean, I think that, you know, it's perfect.
Yeah, I think like you have to enjoy what you're doing, right? And I will never tell people like, hey, do what I did because like actually I don't even know how to put like that in a blueprint. Um, but also like if your jam is to like to stick with this one thing and become a master on this, then yeah, like by all means do it because that's gonna be fulfilling for you. Um, I and I think there's a lot of like transferable skills, and I also always have this motto of like don't suffer for free. You know,
Mhm.
like the creative process is not easy. It's gonna be very uncomfortable, especially if you're pushing the envelope. If you're trying to do new things, you're trying to learn a new skill, or even if it's like the thing that you do, but you have like a different client and you have to create like a like a different voice or something. Anything new is gonna cause discomfort. It's gonna be tough, and you know, not always. Also, almost never is the case that you work with the perfect budget, the perfect timing, with the perfect team, with the perfect production team, and everybody's loving your ideas or everything. There's always gonna be like some pushback, and there's gonna be like these growing pains period, right? I actually really like cherish the like it's kind of in hindsight, but like I cherish like these moments of great stress and like when I suffered the most because I learned so much,
Mhm.
so but so that's why like in my head is always so there's something I need to learn from this. It might be like design or creative related, and it's the skill that I need to get better at. But maybe there's something else, something more tangential. Maybe like what I need to learn here is how to better communicate my ideas, how to get people on board with what I'm doing. Maybe it's my turn to become a little more strategic, or helping more with production, or even just time management or stress management, or trying to work a life balance. Like there's something to learn. So I would say don't just like suffer for suffering's sake. There's always something to learn. So I think like if you keep that open, even the worst experience you can turn into like the maybe one of the best.
Yeah, I think that I truly believe that mistakes or like failures are more important than successes, because obviously successes feel really great. And everyone wants to consistently succeed or do well and do everything perfectly, but you learn the most from when you fail or when you're having a difficult time. And I think that those situations are much more valuable. Obviously, if you continue to fail doing like regularly, maybe you're just doing something wrong and you're not learning. But I think that you have the potential to be more successful when you take risks and even allow yourself to fail sometimes, just because, it's important to learn from those experiences. And if you're doing the same thing over and over again, you can't learn really from those experiences because, you're doing the same thing over and over again. You're not trying anything new. And I think that is a testament to your career path, because you've had so much experience in different places that you've probably been able to learn so many different things. And I think that's of more value, whereas, and don't quote me on this. I don't want anyone to beat me up for spending 40 years in a career in this very specified career. They're probably so good at it, but I mean, um, but I think that sometimes that provides more value in the long run because you've had all these different lived experiences, whereas, um, in comparison to a very mm, uh linear trajectory where you are doing the same thing and not learning in the process, or maybe you're not learning as much as you could because you're not like going against the grain or like thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. So also one thing that that I've tried to do is like in this search for like knowing more and know more things. I've always tried to have what is like my thing that I'm like really good at. So like for the most part, very horizontal, but there are a couple of things that if everything goes to shit, I can, and I have to be like my like a one man band. Can I survive? So
Mhm.
I have, so through this time I've also have developed, I don't know, 4 or 5 different hard skills that I think I'm really good at, and I can go with that. So for example, like maybe coding, maybe that's not one, or like photography. No, that's not, definitely not one of those. Animation, very hard. But then others, I think I can like really just run with it, you know.
Yeah.
So I would balance always, like, because the other the saying is, like jack of all trades but master of none. I would
Yeah.
say, yeah,
You want to stretch yourself too
but
thin.
like be very good at an, a couple of things, and I try to learn horizontal like from that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a very important note to make, because I think that you can stretch yourself a little too thin if you're learning from too many places, because it's like it's almost, if you're learning for too many places, you don't have time to absorb the information, if that makes sense. Like it's you can have knowledge in a bunch of different spaces, but if you're not really good at something, then maybe you don't provide value for example, like an agency or a company or whatever, you might not be able to do that. Or you might not even be able to provide value for yourself as like you one man band, so to speak, of if say you lost your job and you had to do something really well on your own to like make ends meet or whatever it may be. If you were in that position, if you were not a master of anything, would you be able to do that? And I think that that is a difficult balance to maintain sometimes when you do have an interest in a lot of different areas.
Yeah, that helped me at the very beginning of this job, and sometimes even now, because we were like thinking big and we were more ambitious, but then building a team takes time. So a number of times, it's not just, oh, I have the vision, just execute. Like, we have a team of 3 people, so like, roll your sleeves and you're it, right? So
Mhm.
um so um I'm very happy to do that. I still um try to find to make myself active in a number of ways, and keep designing, keep concepting, doing all of those stuff, so I don't just become like an armchair creative. I always try to keep honing my skills, because I think that's important, but also that's something that I enjoy. So so um so yeah, that's kind of where I am now. Like, I do enjoy that process. Um and like, sometimes we do have like these bigger projects, and we don't have an infinite team. So like, if I have to be also part of the team, I you know I'm so happy.
Oh, well, I think that's a really wholesome note to end on because we're a little over time, but I think that it was so wonderful to learn about your journey because I really do appreciate one that it's non-linear because I do think that that is like the majority of people, like you can't necessarily expect exactly where you're going to end up. Some people have very clear like visions in mind of what their future will look like and it's not even what they expect. And I just really love the transparency that you've provided only because I think that people are able to learn from that and resonate with it more than maybe like a more traditional path. So, thank you so much for sharing all of this. This was really lovely.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me. I always like to share, like, what I've gone through, and I can, like, really talk about my mistakes, because I also think I can learn from all other people's experiences, and I enjoy, letting people know what I've gone through, and sometimes I can guide them in a way, like, I know that I'm not gonna be like the perfect answer for everything, but like, if I can just like give you like a different perspective, and like, I just love that. So I'm always open to talk to new creatives. And also, like, now I'm in this moment, um that I want to expand my network in Philly. I think, because I moved during COVID, and I was like so much into like this, parenthood thing. Now I think it's time for me to like go and expand and learn more, you know, n- you know, about the city and everything that it offers, but also the creative community. And I've been, meeting some people here and there, but I think I can do a better job.
Yeah, no, I think it's really nice to be able to build your network, especially in like a new city. I think that it it might be I can probably connect you with some people too. And on LinkedIn and such, I've met a lot of creatives in the area and they're very lovely. I just love the city so much. So connecting people, I'd be happy to connect you with some people as well. So
Oh, that is fantastic! Yeah.
yeah, of course. And again, thank you so much. This was really fun, and I really appreciate you sharing your story. And thank you also everyone for listening. We'd be nothing without you. So thank you so much for also participating, watching, listening, whatever it may be. And have a lovely day, everyone that's watching as well. Bye. Thank you so much.
Take care.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.